a.m. Quiz instructions. The Memphis music scene. Memphis, Tennessee, has an exciting and diverse music history. The city's music has been historically important in American culture. Today, two of Memphis' best-known landmarks are Beale Street and Graceland, Elvis Presley's home. The landmarks are closely associated with Memphis blues, rockabilly, and rock and roll music history. Memphis also has places related to Tennessee's classical music history, and associations with popular jazz, gospel, and rhythm and blues artists. Blues, rock and roll, soul, and jazz music can still be heard nightly at the different clubs and music venues on Beale Street. The street was the center of African American business and culture for black people from Memphis, eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee, and northern Mississippi. George McDaniel, a scholar, says that Beale Street was a meeting place for urban and rural styles. The area was like a school that helped train the young musicians who later transformed American music. Blues artists like B.B. King, Jimmy Lunceford, and Bobby "Blue" Bland were just a few to start on Beale Street. They shaped the distinctive Memphis blues sound of the 1950s. The Memphis sound influenced the early rockabilly musical style. This music is associated with Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins, and Johnny Cash. All five of these artists recorded some of their earliest music at Sun Records Studio in Memphis. However, these musicians were originally from other parts of the American South, including rural parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Their rural Southern traditions mixed with the urban beat of Memphis to create a new sound. For example, Elvis Presley was often called a rock and roll star. However, he took great pride in his Grammy Award-winning gospel music recordings. Memphis led Tennessee's arena rock movement. Arena rock is a style of rock music that is played in large spaces like stadiums. The city's Mid-South Coliseum was the only place in Tennessee that featured concerts by Elvis and the Beatles. Elvis later recorded a live album there in 1974. In 2000, the Mid-South Coliseum was recognized as an important historical site because of its musical history. Beale Street attracted many musicians to Memphis, but they were also drawn to the area for the city's numerous radio stations. During the late 1940s and 1950s, radio was a critical part of the Memphis music scene. A station called WNBR Radio broadcast a weekly amateur night show from the Palace Theater on Beale Street. Different musicians performed blues, pop, jazz, and rhythm and blues songs. It was the opportunity young artists needed to start their careers. In 1948, the Memphis station WDIA Radio hired Nat D. Williams. Williams was the region's first black disc jockey on a white radio station, and he introduced an all-black music format. Williams's broadcasts of rhythm and blues music became popular for white and black audiences. This style was eventually adopted by white performers, such as Elvis Presley. WDIA is the oldest black radio station in the nation. The station has shaped not only the region's musical traditions, but also its sense of black history, culture, and civil rights. Early rhythm and blues, or soul music, is associated with the music label Stax Records and its Memphis recording studios. Estelle Stewart Axton and her brother Jim Stewart established Satellite Productions in 1957. In late 1961, Satellite changed its name to Stax Records. With artists such as Booker T. Jones, Stax Records grew to become a major force in American popular music. Another important soul music label in Memphis was High Records. Early High artists included Don Bryant, Ann Peebles, and Tina Turner. High Records' primary artist, however, was Al Green, who had a series of soul music hits in the early 1970s. During this explosion of popular music, classical music was also developing in Memphis. Sometimes, classical artists participated in the popular spaces of the Memphis music scene. In the mid-1930s, classical musician Noel Gilbert began organizing small orchestras to play at local hotels. In the early 1950s, he hosted a nightly classical music television program titled Evening Serenade. In the early 1960s, he even began to record music for non-classical labels such as Sun, High and Stax. Today, Memphis maintains several active classical music organizations. Opera Memphis is Tennessee's largest opera company. Gospel music was also important in the rise of the Memphis music scene. Lucy Campbell was a gospel composer who wrote more than 100 gospel songs. She shaped Memphis musical traditions for nearly 60 years. In 1921, several of her compositions were included in one of the first gospel songbooks ever published. Memphis was also home to traditional gospel groups including the Spirit of Memphis and the IC Glee Club Quartet. Gospel, jazz, blues, soul and rockabilly music have created Memphis' unique musical tradition. The city's music history is enjoyed by people across the nation. Today, the Memphis Rock and Soul Museum and the Center for Southern Folklore celebrate Memphis history with exhibits and programs.
Question 1. According to the article, why did artists move to Memphis? Because they wanted to sing with B.B. King, Jimmy Lunsford, and Bobby Bland. Because they were inspired by the Memphis Rock and Soul Museum. Because of the city's important historical landmarks. Because of Beale Street and the city's radio stations. Question 1. According to the article, why did artists move to Memphis? Because they wanted to sing with B.B. King, Jimmy Lunsford, and Bobby Bland. Because they were inspired by the Memphis Rock and Soul Museum. Because of the city's important historical landmarks. Because of Beale Street and the city's radio stations. Question 2. Which two of the following sentences from the article include central ideas of the article? 1. The city's music has been historically important in American culture. 2. Early rhythm and blues or soul music is associated with the music label Stax Records and its Memphis recording studios. 3. Gospel, jazz, blues, soul, and rockabilly music have created Memphis's unique musical tradition. 4. Today, the Memphis Rock and Soul Museum and the Center for Southern Folklore celebrate Memphis's history with exhibits and programs. Which two of these sentences include central ideas of the article? 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 3 and 4? Question number 2, I'll repeat it. Which two of the following sentences from the article include central ideas of the article? 1. The city's music has been historically important in American culture. 2. Early rhythm and blues or soul music is associated with the label Stax Records and its Memphis recording studios. 3. Gospel, jazz, blues, soul, and rockabilly music have created Memphis's unique musical tradition. 4. Today, the Memphis Rock and Soul Museum and the Center for Southern Folklore celebrate Memphis's history with exhibits and programs. Is it 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 3 and 4? Question number 3. The music scene made an impact on the culture of Memphis. Who is an artist or genre that has influenced you? How did they influence you? Make sure that your answer is in complete sentences. This should be 1 to 2 complete sentences. Question number 4. Use the video below to see how Memphis native Justin Timberlake interacts with the Memphis community. How is Memphis still a music scene today and impacting the community around it? To incorporate evidence, use the information from the article and describe images and events from the video to support your claim. Your response should be 3 to 4 complete sentences. Use the rubric below to help guide you. So question 4, you're using the video below to see how Memphis native Justin Timberlake interacts with the Memphis community. The video link is here. How is Memphis still a music scene today and impacting the community around it? Make sure that you incorporate evidence from the article and describe any images and events from the video to support your claim. Your response should be 3 to 4 complete sentences. Use the rubric below to help guide you. The rubric below shows you about sentence structure and content. Did you write a specific claim that answers the question in complete sentences? And the content, the information provided is all accurate and relevant to answering all parts of the question. So make sure that you use evidence from both sources, the article and the video, and that you're writing complete sentences with capital letters and appropriate punctuation. Best of luck.